Hello everybody, this is Johns Hopkins with Baltimore Heritage, and we're back with another of our 5-Minute Histories videos. And today I'm on Lombard Street, where it intersects Horseradish Lane, and yes, that is the official name of the street. We're in a section of East Baltimore that used to be called for many years Corned Beef Row. That's what we're going to talk about today. There are still two delis here that serve some of the best corned beef sandwiches you can find anywhere, so come on down. And in fact, if you're interested, we are doing a walking tour, if you're listening live, on June 18th to explore the Jonestown neighborhood around the Shot Tower and over here on Corned Beef Row. All right, so we have to start our story with the term corned beef. It's kind of odd when you think about it. The beef part we get, it comes from cows, but what about the corn part? It doesn't come from corn, at least the corn that we know. And for that, we have to turn back to the 1600s in England, and that's where the term corned beef started. The term derives from the old German word kernum, which referred to a small seed. Think of a rye seed or maybe a kernel, a kernum of corn, like the corn we know. And it was used to refer to the little chunks of salt that were used to cure the beef. The German term kernum translated into the Old English term kernum, and then as Old English became modern English, kernum turned into corn. So corned beef refers to the size of the salt chunks that are used to cure the beef. So how then do we get to Corned Beef Row from 1600s England to say 1900 Baltimore on Lombard Street? And for that, we have to go through New York City. Neighborhoods on the Lower East Side of Manhattan and the Bronx and Brooklyn at that time were filling up with immigrants from Ireland and Jewish immigrants from Eastern European countries and Russia. And they mixed in all sorts of ways, including culinary traditions. Although the English coined the term corned beef, the Irish certainly were using salt to cure beef for hundreds and hundreds of years, and some of those immigrants brought that tradition over with them. The Jewish folks, including deli owners, brought over their own beef recipes, including for pastrami and brisket, which are very similar, so not too hard for them to grab onto the corned beef recipes. And soon they were making and serving corned beef to Irish immigrants, Jewish immigrants, pretty much everybody. And of course, as Jewish delis spread across the country from New York, corned beef spread with them, including to here on Lombard Street. To give you a sense of what Lombard Street was like back around, say, 1900, on one block alone, and this was a hub of a large Jewish community here, on one block alone, there were 600 residents, almost all of them Jewish, and there were shops galore. There were fish sellers who sold live fish out of little pools made of white tile. There were poultry sellers who sold chickens, live chickens in wooden crates that they would, quote, freshly prepare for you on the spot. There were bakeries, there were dry goods stores, there was all sorts of stuff. We're going to wrap up focusing on two of those. One of them is Tulkoff's horseradish, and I bet you many of you have a Tulkoff's horseradish product in your pantry today. Tolkoff's got its start when Harry and Lena, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, moved from Russia to New York in the 1920s. Among other things, they brought with them recipes for borscht and pickled relish, and yes, horseradish sauce. When they moved to Baltimore in the 1930s, they started a produce produce shop here, selling fresh produce, but also horseradish sauce on the side. And pretty soon, the horseradish sauce was flying off the shelves. It went well with pretty much everything else you could buy on Lombard Street, with poultry, with fish, and yes, with corned beef. Pretty soon, the Tolkoffs stopped selling produce and focused solely on horseradish. And now, so many years later, the company is still in the Tolkoff family. It is now in Dundalk in bigger manufacturing facilities. And just as a side note, we, a few years ago at Baltimore Heritage, got the privilege of touring their plant. You have never seen such mountains of horseradish in your life that go through every day. It is well worth it if you can get a tour there, including afterwards getting to sample all of their now various products. I believe if they're not the largest horseradish sauce producer in the country, they are certainly up there. So well worth it there. All right, final restaurant I want to focus on is Attman's behind me, of course, the legendary Attman's, 107 years old, known as the oldest Jewish deli that's still in the same family, operating in America today. So really, really neat there. It got its starts in the early 1900s when Harry Attman came over from Russia, fleeing persecution of Jewish communities in Eastern Europe and Russia at the time. He came over and in 1915 started a store on Baltimore Street selling imported products like smoked fish and canned salmon, but also selling corned beef sandwiches in paper bags on the side. And apparently they were quite good. In 1933, he moved to this building here. I've been here ever since. And over the last 100 years, Attman's has been passed down from Father Harry to son Seymour to grandson Mark, and is still being run by the Attman's family. I'm going to wrap up and encourage you to come on down to Attman's. Yes, there is still a line, always a line, but well worth it. You will join a lot of notables who have eaten here, including baseball players like Brooks Robinson and Cal Ripken, politicians like Jimmy Carter, and politicians who still eat here like Senator Benjamin Cardin. And if you come down and get a corned beef sandwich, you will be eating corned beef using the same recipe that Harry Attman invented 115 years ago. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.